So good morning. Uh, uh, let's take a recap of what we have seen on yesterday's lecture. Before that, I'm just sharing the screen. Atharva, can you just tell me whether the screen is visible and I'm audible?
Yes, yes, sir,
Okay,
the screen is visible.
okay, that's great. Uh, so yesterday we talked about the fundamentals of the principal component analysis. We have seen that this is one of the dimensionality reduction technique in which we transform a high dimensional input instance space to a lower dimensional input instance space. So in other words, we can say that we are reducing a high feature data set to a low feature data set. So reducing the features of your data set is ultimately the objective of using the principal component analysis algorithm. So as a part of this fundamental of PCA, we have seen the projection, we have seen what is mean, variance, covariance, and today we'll see what is covariance matrix, eigenvector, eigenvalues, and then we will land up with the principal component analysis technique, how it transform the high dimensional input instance space to lower dimensional space. So we have seen that this is the set of data points that we have transformed to the, after normalization, we have transformed this point to this place. Okay. Now we supposed to find out if I want to describe this point, I have to, I have to use the concept of covariance matrix. So covariance matrix is a matrix which is also called as a symmetrical matrix. Why it is called as a symmetrical matrix, that we will see later on. Okay, but in this covariance matrix, this of the diagonal entries, oh, sorry, this is not up. This is, you can say that a uh, backward directional diagonal entries in which we have the variance of x coordinates and the variance of y coordinates for all these data sets, all these set of points, and off the diagonal or in forward direction diagonal, we have the covariance matrix. Okay, so we will find out the covariance of x and y and covariance of uh, this is basically a covariance entries. So covariance means what? I have just taken an example here. So this indicates that this summation indicates that it is a symmetrical covariance matrix. Okay. Now, looking at this, this data set points position, okay, all these samples position, in other words, they have, high values, or they have their positions which is inclined, or which is, towards the x direction. So all of them are in x direction, and they are more, placed on the horizontal axis rather than on the vertical axis. So roughly I have taken the variance of this x coordinates as 9, whereas the variance of y coordinates, you can see that this is what the variance of y axis. Okay, so we are going to, determine the vectors for x axis and y axis. So that's a discussion of later part. So that's why I have taken this value of variance y 3. These are the random values I have chosen. There is nothing, a rocket science behind this. Okay, just looking at this, this sample points on the hyperplane, I have just imagine, or I have just assumed these values of x and y variance, x coordinate variance and y coordinate variance. Then on the other hand, we have the covariance values, which I chose 4, and you can see that the covariance x and y, they are same. Okay, they are same. Why? Because we have just mentioned that it is a symmetrical covariance matrix. So that's the reason the covariance of x coordinate and y coordinate, we have chosen them same. Okay, so now let's proceed to the the second part of this presentation, that is in which we are going to see what is the linear transformation function. So linear transformation is the function which transform the high dimensional input instance space to lower dimensional input instance space. So it is basically a function of transformation. Then eigenvector and eigenvalues. So let's say that this is the linear transformation function. So in linear transformation function, which enable us to transform this hyperplane, high dimensional hyperplane, to a lower dimensional hyperplane. Now, how it is achieved? So it is achieved using this covariance matrix. So it is very important to remember or to recall that if you want to use the linear transformation function, before that you have to ensure that you have, you have constructed your covariance matrix. That's very essential. So using this covariance matrix and the linear transformation function, we are going to transform this hyperplane, high dimensional hyperplane, to a lower dimensional hyperplane. So how, this is the point x and y, these are the 2 points. Okay, this is a point on this hyperplane. And how will I transform this point to this lower dimensional? Because this x and y, this is the point, this is one of the point, you can say that, or all the points on this hyperplane will have the x coordinate value and the y coordinate value. So whenever we are transforming that point from this hyperplane to this hyperplane, we are going to use the linear function and the covariance matrix value. So in covariance matrix value, we have this first 9 and 4 for x coordinate and 4 and 3 for the y coordinate. Okay, so this gives me the value for x, green, and red give me the value for the y coordinate. Okay, so using this transformation function, now let's introduce any point. So let's say that this is the point on this hyperplane. Now if I want to transform this point on this hyperplane, then I will just use this linear transformation function, which is called as 9x plus 4y into 4x plus 3y. So this gives me x coordinate value and this gives me the y coordinate value for this hyperplane. So just put the value of x and y into this equation. So x is 0, so 9 times 0 is 0, plus 4 times 0 is 0, into 4 times x is 0, plus 3 times 0 is 0. So 0 plus 0 is the coordinate value. This is the new coordinate value for this hyperplane for this point. Okay, so that means whenever I am transforming, whenever I am locating this point on this new hyperplane, that point will be located at the origin, because this is a origin, this is basically a point in the origin of this hyperplane. So naturally, whenever you will transform this on this new hyperplane, it will be at the origin itself. Okay, so this is the point. So similarly, we can also calculate the positions of the other points as well. Let's say this is another point I have took. Okay, this is the point, this is the location or the position of this sample point in this hyperplane. So let's put this point into the new hyperplane using this equation. So 9 into x, x is having value 1, plus 4 into y, y is having value 0. So 9 plus 0 will be 9, and then 4 into 1 is 4, plus 3 into 0 will be 0. So 4 plus 0 will be 4. So the new position of this point in this hyperplane will be at 9, 4. So something, you can see here. Okay, so these are some other points, okay, that you can take 0, 1, then -1, 0, and 0, -1. So all these points, they have been transformed in this new hyperplane here. Okay, so this 1, 0 is transformed here, then 0, 1 is transformed here somewhere. Okay, then you can have -1, 0, which may be here. Okay, and then you can have this -4, -3, something here, right? So all the points, they have been transformed to this new hyperplane using this covariance matrix. Now, if you look at the shape of this original sample points, it forms circle. And if we look at the new hyperplane, it looks like an ellipse, right? So what we did is we have transformed this, this original hyperplane, which looked like a circle, into a new hyperplane, which looked like an ellipse, using a linear transformation function and a covariance matrix, right? So now the direction of this plane, this ellipse, is this, whereas the direction let's say that the direction of this vector is 2 units on the right side and 1 unit up. Okay, so this is my first vector. If I take a same vector, then I have stretched this plane, I have stretched this original plane, and I got the ellipse. On the other hand, we will have the another vector. Okay, let's stretch this plane by 1 unit on the left and 2 units up. That means -1 on the x-axis and +2 on the y-axis. So that means 2 unit up y-axis, 1 unit left, that is -1 on the x-axis, right? So this is the another vector that I got. So when I use this vector, this is what how I have shrink. Using this second vector, we have shrink this ellipse. Okay. So that means 2, 1 and -1, 2. These are my eigenvectors. This gives me the directions of my projection line. Okay. So this is the new projection of these points. Okay. ये point का projections क्या मिला हमें? This is the projections that we have got. So when I draw some line like this, okay, which actually intercepts the origin of this hyperplane at this point, so that is my projection line, okay, which actually projects all these points, right? Very well. And this is my original projection of the point. So using this new vector, so if you take the the original values of this this vector, you can see that it is 2 unit up, 2 unit on the right side and 1 unit up. Okay, something here. Okay, so that is the eigenvector which gives me the new projections of my original hyperplane. Similarly, the another vector that I have used to project my points is the second vector, that is -1, 2. So which actually shrink the entire hyperplane, the original hyperplane, into ellipse. Okay, so these are the two eigenvectors that I have got. So if I calculate the the magnitude of this two eigenvectors, then this eigenvector may have some magnitude value 11, and this eigenvector may have some value 1. Okay, magnitude value 1. Okay, so 11 is the magnitude value for this vector, this eigenvector, and 1 is the magnitude value for this eigenvector. Now you may ask me question that how do I calculate this, how this magnitude values comes. So we use some formulas. Okay, so if I do not use the eigenvectors, then what will happen? If my projections my projections of the sample points on the new hyperplane may not have some direction, right? It do not get any projection line, in any proper projection line on the new hyperplane. If we use this eigenvector, then we cannot say that in which direction this new hyperplane projection line goes, right? So if you look at this red and green line, this red and this green line, it gives the perfect direction of the projection of sample points on the new hyperplane. Okay, this transform hyperplane from the original hyperplane, right? Whereas this orange lines on both the hyperplane does not gives us any direction of our sample points on the input instance space or on the hyperplane. Well, so these are the way that we can calculate the eigenvalues. We have seen the eigenvector. So what is the eigenvector? So the projection, the direction of projection of your sample points on the new hyperplane gives you the eigenvectors. Okay, so this is first eigenvector and this is second eigenvector that I have got here. Okay, fine. Now how do I calculate the eigenvalues? How do I get this eigenvalue 11 and 1, these two eigenvalues? So we will use the characteristic of a polynomial equation. So what we will do, we will take a determinant of this covariance matrix x minus 9, minus 4, x minus 3, and minus 4, right? So now this time what we are considering, the covariance values for x and y coordinate is negative. This is what our assumption. Only the thing that we are considering in in calculating the eigenvalue, why they are negative, because it's a polynomial equation where the determinant values that we are considering, they will be negative, right? So 9 and 3, these are the variance of our x and y axis that we have seen already. So x minus 9 into x minus 3 minus minus 4 into minus 4. So if you compute this, x square minus 3x minus 9x plus 27. 9 into 3, 9s are 3, 27, right? So x square minus 12x plus 27 minus into minus 4 into minus 4. So minus 4 into minus 4 will be 16. So minus plus will become minus, minus 16. So our equation is x square minus 12x plus 27 minus 16. So if you perform it further, then what you get, this quadratic equation, x square minus 12x plus 11. And if you take a factor of this quadratic equation, you will get this factor x minus 11 into x minus 1. So that means 11 and 1 are our factors of this quadratic equation for this determinant, for this determinant polynomial equation. Okay, so what we did is we took the determinant of this covariance matrix, and then we have performed the computation. What we get is quadratic equation, and then after getting the quadratic equation, we just took the factors of this quadratic equation, and this factor of this quadratic equation are nothing but the eigenvalues of our two eigenvectors. One is having magnitude value 11 and other is having the magnitude value 1, right? So this is what our eigenvectors. So if you take a product of our eigenvalues and eigenvector, what you get is the covariance matrix, right? So if you want to know more about the eigenvector and eigenvalues, you can just go through this website 3Blue 1 Brown, and you will get more algebraic clarification on eigenvector and eigenvalues. Now we will come to an end of this topic. Now we'll see how do we calculate the principal component analysis. Just with some simple example, we'll see. So this is our sample points on the hyperplane. This is the projection of our sample points on the new hyperplane we got. Okay, these are our eigenvectors 2, 1, and 11 is the magnitude for this eigenvector. Our second eigenvector is minus 1, 2. So that means 2 units on the left side, and 1 unit on the left side of hyperplane, and 2 units up, that is on the y-axis. So that is my second eigenvector. And the first eigenvector, 2 units on the right hand side, okay, and 1 unit up. Okay, so 2 is the variance of x, and 1 is the variance of y. This is how we can see. Okay, at this position somewhere we get the direction of our first eigenvector, and 11 is the magnitude value of first eigenvector. Similarly, the second eigenvector is minus 1, 2. This is the second eigenvector, and the eigenvalue that is associated with this eigenvector is only 1. Now the question may arise that which eigenvector and which eigenvalues we are going to use to generate our principal components, right? So which eigenvector and which eigenvalues? So the mathematics of algebra, or you can say that the principal component analysis, it says that a eigenvector with the highest eigenvalues will be selected, or will be considered, or should be considered to construct the principal component analysis. Okay, so looking at these two eigenvectors, the first eigenvector has the highest magnitude value. So the first eigenvector, it wins. Now you may think that why we got this perfect directions, This perfect directions of the eigenvectors that we have got, this is because of this covariance matrix. Okay, and we have seen that our covariance matrix is symmetrical for x and y coordinates. So that's why we have the same values of the covariance diagonal for both x and y. Okay, this is 4 and this is 4. So this is 4 for the x and this is y value. This is x value and this is y value. So covariance is always there for x and y coordinates, but variance is always there for either x and y. So this is the variance of x coordinate, this is the variance of y coordinate. However, this is the covariance for x and y coordinate, and this is also the covariance for x and y coordinate. So this is our first point which has x and y value. This is x and this is y. And this is the second point which has the x value and this is the y value. Okay. So this is the covariance of x and y and this is the variance of y. This is the variance of x and this is the covariance of x and y, which replaces actually the y variance using covariance. So that's the reason we got this perfect directions of our eigenvector. Otherwise, this is not a logic. This is not, something magic happens here. Why we got this perfect direction? This perfect direction of eigenvectors are achieved only because we have considered this covariance matrix. We have the covariance values in our covariance matrix. Okay, this is symmetrical actually. The covariance matrix is symmetrical. So out of these two eigenvectors, the first eigenvector, it has the highest magnitude value, so it wins, and the second eigenvector, it got the put. So because it has the lowest eigenvalue, so we are not going to consider it. We'll simply ignore the second eigenvector. And now we got, using our eigenvector, using our this eigenvector, the first eigenvector which has the magnitude 11, and the direction of the eigenvector is 2 units right and 1 unit up, and we transform all our two-dimensional input instance space. So this is a two-dimensional input instance space to a one-dimensional input instance space because we got the one eigenvector. Simply, so this is the principal component analysis. Let us try to understand this principal component analysis with a simple example, how a high dimensional or a multi-dimensional data set is transformed to a lower dimensional data set. That is what we are going to see with this. So let's consider this is a data set that is given to us. This is a large table which has the 5 columns. So x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, these are the variables, input variables. Okay, fine. And we can say that these are the columns of our data set as well as features, or you can also call it as the input variables of our data set. Now, because the columns are very large, we want to reduce these columns so as to transform this high dimensional input instance space to lower dimensional input instance space. So first, we will transform this data set of 5 dimension. So this is the better visualization of 5-dimensional plot. So far we can visualize the 3-dimensional, but this is a imagination of mine. How do we can imagine or visualize the 5-dimensional plot? Because we have a 5 dimensions in our data set, because we have 5 columns, 5 features, 5 dimensions for our data set. So this is the better representation of a 5-dimensional plot. So maybe this axis, this dimension represent x1, this represents x2, this represents x3, this represents x4, and this represents x5. Now, this is the corresponding covariance matrix for our data set. This is because we have 5 dimension, so our covariance matrix will also be 5 by 5. Okay, 5 by 5 matrix. Okay, 5 rows and 5 columns. So we have 5 rows and 5 columns. So each row, each column, it represents one dimension. This is x1, this is x2, this is x3, this is x4, this is x5. Now we know that the diagonal of our covariance matrix, it always represents the variance of x and y. Okay, so it represents the diagonal. This diagonal represents the variance of our matrix, covariance matrix, and this of the diagonal, it represents the covariance values. Okay. Now, after projecting these points onto a new hyperplane, we will just calculate the eigenvectors and corresponding eigenvalues. So this is our first eigenvector. This is the eigenvalue with respect to this first eigenvector v1. This is the second eigenvector, and lambda 2, it represents the magnitude value of v2. Lambda 3 is the magnitude value of v3. Lambda 4 is v4, and lambda 5 is magnitude value of eigenvector 5. Now we have, after calculating the 5 eigenvector and their corresponding magnitude value, we arrange this eigenvectors and their magnitude values into a decreasing order. Okay, that means from increasing order from smaller to bigger. So that means this is increasing. The first eigenvector has the highest value, then second eigenvector, then third eigenvector, then fourth and fifth. So from smallest to bigger, we have arranged these eigenvectors and their magnitude value. Now we know that we select the eigenvectors with the highest magnitude value. Now let's consider that this eigenvector v1 and v2, they are having the highest magnitude value out of 5 eigenvectors. So we have considered the first 2 eigenvectors, v1 and v2. So this v1 and v2 will be used to construct a new hyperplane. Okay, so this is my new hyperplane. This is the direction of the first eigenvector, and this is the direction of my second eigenvector. So this gives me a 2-dimensional plane, and now these are the representation of these points, sample points on this 2-dimensional place. So now this represents that we have successfully transformed a 5-dimensional input instance space. Earlier we have the 5-dimension, and using this principal component analysis, we found out the eigenvectors for this covariance matrix. After finding the eigenvectors, we have selected the eigenvectors with the highest or the largest magnitude value. So v1 and v2 is selected because they have the highest magnitude value, and their magnitude is represented as lambda 1 and lambda 2. And now using these 2 eigenvectors, which gives us these projections for the eigenvector for using the magnitude value. So using this projection, using this magnitude value of these 2 eigenvectors, we got the 2-dimensional input instance space, which is something look like this. So that's it from the principal component analysis. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will stop. And with this, I have completed the the last unit. Professor J.R. Suryavanshi madam, he will conduct the first 2 topics of the last unit. Probably the k-means, using the principal component analysis for the k-means clustering, it is similar like this. Only what you need to understand is the concept of principal component analysis. So do you have any doubts? Omkar Borade, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, sir.
Do you have doubts, Omkar?
No, sir.
Omkar, you are from which branch?
Sir, IT.
You're from IT. Okay. Pratik Kule? Pratik?
Yes, sir.
Do you understood?
Yes, sir.
Atharva Sarda? Atharva?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I just have one doubt. What type of questions will be asked? Based on theory or calculations?
See, actually, I do not know that, because this honor course is introduced first time. So they are going to ask you, if it is online exam, then definitely they will ask you some questions like this. What is the eigenvector? What is the covariance matrix? What is variance? How the eigenvalues, which eigenvectors are selected? What is the projections of line? How do we get the principal component analysis? How the algorithm works actually. So basically, the most likely questions, which are MCQ type, multiple choice questions, they will be like, in principal component analysis, what we achieve? Do we achieve the lower dimensional input instance space or a higher dimensional input instance space? So after applying PCA, what we get is the higher dimensional input instance space. That's clear. Then how many principal components? If we are using 5 variables, okay, how many principal components we can create using the 5 variables? So we can create a 5 principal components. The number of variables, the number of features that you are that you have within your data set, that many principal components we can create, right? So you have seen here in earlier slide, because we have 5 columns or 5 dimensions or 5 features in the data set. That's the reason we got the 5 eigenvectors here. This is not a magically, ये magic से मिला नहीं है. Why not I took the 7, 6, 8? Why not I just took 1 or 2? I took 5. Only the reason is that, just to indicate that, because we have 5 variables, 5 features in the data set, that's the reason we have constructed 5 eigenvectors and their corresponding magnitude value, which is represented by lambda. Okay, so this may be asked in question. If we have 5 features in the data set, how many principal components we can create? How many eigenvectors we can create? So these eigenvectors are nothing but the principal components, which actually allows you to transform your high dimensional input instance space to lower dimensional input instance space. Any other question?
No, sir. Thank you.
Maybe some question will be asked on variance, the negative. What is the negative covariance? What is the positive covariance? What is the problem when we are describing your sample points using the mean? What is the problem that arises when you are representing your sample points using the variance? Okay, why do we calculate the covariance, right? This may be some problem, right? So you have negative covariance, you have positive covariance. Whenever your projection line is having negative values, that indicates you have negative covariance, right? Whenever your projection line has the positive value, that represent it is having a positive covariance. Okay, fine. Now, when we need a variance, when we calculate the variance, when you want to measure a spreadness or a scatterness amongst the sample points, then you need to calculate the variance. Then by using mean, you cannot describe the scatterness or the spreadness amongst the sample data points. Okay, so whenever you want to measure the scatterness or the spreadness of your sample points, which are you can say that which are spreaded or which are scattered on a hyperplane, then you can use the variance, right? So whenever your 2 data sets sample points, when they have same variance, then the other concept comes in, that is covariance. Okay, if the 2 different sample points of 2 different data sets, if they are having same variance, then these sample points of a different data set, they can be better described, they can be better represented using the covariance matrix. Anything else? Then linear transformation function. So linear transformation function is what? Linear transformation function is a function which actually transforms the original hyperplane to a new hyperplane using covariance matrix. And you know how do we construct the covariance matrix? Okay, the backward diagonal elements, they will have the variance values of your x and y coordinates, whereas the forward diagonal value of your covariance matrix, it will have the covariance values for x and y coordinates. I have already told you how do we calculate the covariance values and all. I'll just simply go back and I'll tell you. Yesterday we have seen the covariance matrix. How do we calculate the covariance matrix? Okay, so this is the covariance for minus 4/3. This is the covariance for this sample points, and 4/3 is the covariance for this sample points. Now these points, these values of covariance, we are going to put it into this covariance matrix. Okay, here at this place, and we know how do we calculate the variance of x and variance of y. So all the equations, all the formulas I have already explained in the yesterday's lecture. Still any problem? Then please ask me the question, otherwise we will stop. Agam, bolo.
No, sir, no questions. Understood.
Pakka?
Yes, sir.
2 पॉसिबिलिटीज है, एक तो आपको समझा है, नहीं तो नहीं समझा है. क्वेश्चंस तभी आते हैं जब आपको समझता है. क्यों?
नहीं सर, पर अभी समझे.
I hope you are not lying. Okay, no problem. Omkar, do you understood?
Yes, sir.
Atharva?
Yes, sir.
Okay, dear friends, then we will stop. You can exit this meeting. Thanks a lot for patiently listening me. Have a great day ahead.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.